and where the workshops go wrong. So first of all, I would like everyone to just unmute themselves and just say hi to the group and say what their name is before we really get into it. So let's start with Steffi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Steffi Akatsa. I'm joining in from Nairobi in Kenya. Thank you.
Awesome. Nils?
Hi, my name is Niels Solanki. I'm joining in from Switzerland.
Awesome. All right. Ahmed?
Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed Assassin. I'm joining from Kampala, Uganda.
Awesome. And John, just shout out for us.
Yeah, hi, I'm John. I'm in Mombasa in Kenya.
Nice to meet you. And Caleb, say hi to everyone. Caleb, can you hear me?
We've seen him. Caleb, are you there?
I think he's joining on his phone, and sometimes phones are very tricky. They have an attitude. So you see, Sophie is coming in now.
All right, no problem. So my name is Maryam Abdulkadir, and welcome to the session about workshop facilitations and what tends to go wrong. Now, I'm going to give you a very brief background about myself. I have worked in conflict areas in Nigeria as a facilitator, and I was very focused on conflict resolution during the Boko Haram insurgency. So I would always self-reflect on my skills as a facilitator, but realize it's not very helpful. What's more important is knowing what my sessions look like from the participant's point of view. So because of this, I decided to do a 30-day challenge where I attended workshops back to back from any subject. And I was just recording the different types of presentation methods I've seen and why they work and why they don't work. Now, I've literally attended everything, guys, from first aid to reading tarot cards to therapy. Even if it wasn't relevant to me, I was there. And so this session is going to be a compilation of the 5 biggest mistakes that people make. And briefly, they are giving introductions that are way too long. They're also creating a lot of conflict or not knowing how to control groups properly, giving very unclear instructions, not getting proper feedback, and also asking the wrong questions in order to engage an audience. Now, one thing I want all of us to keep in mind when it comes to facilitation is that we're not here to be experts or entertainers. We are here to give clear guidance for our participants, and I want this to be the priority for all of us. So when I give these tips, it's based on that, our ability to be clear in our instruction, and also to be confident in leading sessions and adapting to anything that may change at any point. So what's important for me to talk about as well is I feel as though this is the best presentation for people who are not actually tech savvy. I know a lot of us like to mess with OBS studios and the rest of it, but then I am not giving you any slides today. This is just me talking to you for probably the next hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to show you how you can get by quite simply just on that. Now, I will send this recording to you at the end, so don't make any notes. It's not important. And this is going to be a very unique session because I have hidden 2 very common mistakes in this presentation that I want you guys to help me point out. All right. Are there any questions you have before we begin? Okay, interestingly enough, this is actually the first mistake. I have not given anyone any terms of engagement on how to speak with me. So when I asked that question, you're probably thinking, well, do I put it in the chat? Am I just supposed to unmute myself and say something? And this is the biggest problem with engagement. If your audience doesn't understand what's expected of them, they cannot engage with you the way you want them to. So the terms of engagement are basically just the rules of how your workshop are. So I could decide, if you guys have a question for me, I want you to go to the react button below. And let's say, raise your hands if you have a question. That could be an example. Another example could be, if I'm going to ask you a question, I want you to respond in the chat and just with a yes or no answer. And then my third rule could be, I don't want to hear any swearing, no insults, and no interruptions. So just general respect. And in general, to know that everyone is keeping up with what I'm saying, I want you to use any gesture when I say, are you following, or do you understand where I'm going? So right now, I've spoken quite a bit. So if any of you guys are listening or understand where I'm going so far, give me a hands up. Just click the react button, give me hands up. Yeah, thanks, Steffi. Thanks, John. Thanks, Ahmed and Nils. Thank you, Hope. And Sophie and Caleb are getting there. All right, nice. So those are my terms of engagement. Now that we're all on the same page, let's go on. Now I have a really interesting question for you guys. I'd love to know, what are your workshop rituals? What's one thing you do before you enter any workshop to feel comfortable or to feel good about yourself? So for example, when I first came here, I had a huge cup of coffee just before I started. And I almost always drink coffee. So if you guys would just type in the chat and let me know something that you like to do just before you do a workshop. Online glass of water is needed. Yes, John. Play music and extend it to participate. Yeah, I did hear your music, Kyrie. I think that was you, yeah. I like to ground myself with breathing exercise, listening to music. Yeah, this is nice. Any other suggestions? All right, this is good. Connect with people in the room, in person, just move around the place, feel comfortable. That's good. It's always good to calm your nerves in case you're a nervous public speaker. My next question would be, is there anything, or is there any part in which you feel that you can't, sorry, let me rephrase that. Do you ever feel that if you don't go through these rituals that you're not actually ready to do a presentation? Just type in the chat, say yes or no. Do you ever feel like you're not ready to do a presentation if you don't do these rituals? No. You're always ready. Depends on my mood before the presentation. Okay, no. This is good though. It's good that some of you guys are feeling really confident. Okay. Now for my third question, this is going to sound really random. I'm just going to share this with you. Can all of you guys see the screen? Just thumbs up for me. Do a reaction if you can see the screen. Okay, nice. So this is my third question. This is someone who's riding a bike with training wheels. So if you don't know what training wheels are, they are there to basically improve the balance of the rider. Now, does riding a bike with training wheels help build confidence for riding without them? So I want you to answer in the chat. just say yes or no. In other words, to explain this, if I'm riding a bike with training wheels, would that help me build my confidence when it comes to doing the real thing? Just answer in the chat, yes or no. All right. They're supposed to build confidence, do they? Okay. No, not always. People get dependent on them. Okay, so this is very interesting. So the idea of confidence is that it's supposed to build your trust within yourself to confront the unknown. Now, the problem with training wheels is that if you over rely on them, you don't actually get the essence of what it's like to ride a real bike. And this can really be the kind of training wheels we find in our facilitation. If you always have a ritual that you do consistently, you will never really build the confidence to adjust to anything that can be thrown at you during the facilitation. And we all know all of our plans have to adjust. So what I want to do right now is that we're going to start explaining what we find is our own training wheel, things that we use to calm down. And because a lot of you guys are really confident, one piece of advice you'd give someone who over relies on trying to get so much support from all of these rituals. So I'll give you an example. If I drink coffee every morning just so I can get on camera, maybe someone could suggest that I go pacing instead. So I'm going to put on a timer. And in 1 minute, I'm going to go first to demonstrate how to do this. And then I'm going to pick you guys at random. So you'll be able to explain what you think that your training wheels are when it comes to facilitation and how you would overcome them. So I'll start. So my name is Maryam. I'm your facilitator, and I can over rely on, I think, entertainment. I'm always on Instagram just to chill out. And one thing that I would do to reduce that reliance and to build confidence in facilitation is really understanding where, or empathizing with where different people are coming from. All right, that didn't take me up to a minute. But okay, I'm going to pick someone else to introduce themselves and to speak about their training wheels. Hope, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, oh my goodness.
Don't be nervous. It's okay. It's okay. So like I said, I'm just going to put the timer on now and you can have a go. All right.
Okay, so my name is Hope, Hope Shume. So today I'm your facilitator. And some of my over-reliance wheels are sometimes I depend on facilitators' notes, depending on the subject, especially if I'm not so much aware of the subject or the confidence in it, then I really need to, to have my facilitators' notes. But how I'm overcoming it is to keep, put more time and research on it so that then I learn and reach out to people for coaching. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hope. All right, so I'm going to pick someone else. Okay, Niles.
All right, so my training wheels are slides. Seeing that I come from university lecturing mostly, and this is kind of one of these things I kind of get stuck to when I feel a little bit lost in a presentation or workshop setting. And my strategies to overcome those training wheels have been either just throwing the slides away completely or moving to more physical material, using flip charts and stuff like that, and building the materials on the spot while facilitating.
Oh, nice. I don't think I've ever heard of someone build facilitation notes on the spot, but we'll get back to that. All right. John.
Difficult one. I'm not sure is the answer. I mean, I was thinking about the things we do before the workshop, like you talked about the coffee. I think for me, it's just about feeling calm, at least at the start, and trying to keep composed. But obviously that doesn't always play out. I think my prop is always a co-facilitator. You know, people who know me, who work with me, they sometimes wonder why you always insist on the co-facilitator. It's because I personally, I work more effectively with somebody else. And I think as a team, you're more effective anyway, you know. So if I'm on my own, well, I get by, you know, but I'd rather not be.
That's a great point. I've never actually had a co-facilitator before, so
Oh, you need to do that. Really.
I need to do that.
It's so much better.
Just deflect when I get tired and be like, oh yeah, they'll just do the rest.
Well,
All right.
yeah. I mean, there is that, but there's also this thing about nobody knows everything, and you know, you especially like say you're spending a whole day or a whole week even, you know, with a group. It can be exhausting, and you need to support each other, and you know, we all bring different things, different skills. So also when you work with somebody a lot, you get to understand each other, and you know, instinctively you know each other, and you know who's going to be stronger at a certain point, you know, those kind of things. So highly recommended anyway.
I will actually keep that in mind. I think I have a couple of people that I can steal for that. Thanks, John.
Good.
So
Okay.
what about my final victim is Joan. Joan, are you ready? I don't think maybe she could hear me. I'm not sure. I think we can go for, let's put Irene on the spot.
Now, well, my training wheels are my energy. I have high energy sessions, and so then sometimes it's not sustainable. So I usually I'm a very playful facilitator. I add a lot of games and a few things in between. But as John said, having a co-facilitator is very important, because then when your energy is low, then the other person picks up from there. And also just sharing the knowledge and the expertise from both sides is usually really good. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Everyone give a thumbs up and a clap for everyone who answered well. And this is going to be actually a great lesson on how icebreakers work. So, like I said before, one of the biggest problems with icebreakers or introductions is that they take such a long time. And this is why I used the internal timer for Zoom. And not just that, didn't you guys notice that just trying to explain the things you like and don't like, you're describing things that are a bit more personal to yourself? We had Irene talking about her energy levels. We talked about Niles and his background in universities and his reliance on having those notes, and how he just wants to throw them out and, you know, try making up facilitation ideas on the spot. And we also looked at John, and he spoke about, you know, liking having a co-facilitator because he thinks that he doesn't know everything, and it's nice to know and learn from others. And right now in the market, you'll see so many icebreakers that have nothing to do with the rest of the session. Who here has heard of Draw a Duck? Put in the chats yes or no. Have you ever heard of Draw a Duck? We have some people who are looking a bit confused. That should tell me enough. Now, guys, surprise, surprise, drawing a duck is just about drawing a duck. That is literally it. That is the team building exercise. And the problem with this is that as facilitators, we think, okay, this is supposed to break the ice and make things less awkward, but it has nothing to do with anything. And it makes your job harder because you have more to remember. It's so important to make sure that everything within your presentation is connected and that you can revisit it so you reduce your burden of remembrance. And we're going to return to that concept, burden of remembrance. All right. So now we have gone through the icebreaker. You should also understand that with any activity you are going to address or create, it's supposed to either make people more vulnerable in the way that we shared more information about ourselves, or it will help them brainstorm so that they can take something to enhance their own career or personal life. So if I were to ask you, what is your favorite icebreaker game you've ever done? Everyone will all of a sudden want to take part because they want to steal them for their own workshops. You always need to make the purpose to your audience very obvious from the beginning, so they'll want to participate. So please give me a thumbs up, a good reaction if you are following me so far. Thank you, everyone. All right. So this is going to be a little heart-to-heart between me and you guys. And this is the only monologue you'll get from me during this presentation, so just sit tight, it won't be too long. As I said before, most of us think that the problem with our facilitation is that it's not gamified enough, it's not entertaining. We're not using all of these gimmicks or presentations to really catch people's eyes, when really the issue can be delivery. Some of us aren't using very specific words when we introduce concepts. Now, tell me if you guys can relate to the situation. How many of you have said something to a friend and you think you're being very clear and they come back to you and say, oh, I don't remember you saying that. I cannot remember that whatsoever. Comment yes or no if you relate to that in the chat. Can you relate to that? Has that ever happened to you before? Yeah, okay. Awesome. So what's happening there is that whatever storytelling method you used, you just probably didn't explain. Yes, my sisters. You probably didn't explain in very clear terms what you were talking about. If I were to start this presentation saying, oh, today we're just going to talk about mistakes in workshops, you're less likely to be able to remember my points compared to if I said the purpose of the session is, or if I said the learning objectives for us are. This is purposeful language. And I'm going to give you 5 other ways in which we can fix our delivery. Number 1, stop asking useless questions or very self-evident questions. Anything that is like, what is happiness to you? It's too basic and most people won't want to answer it. A second issue is talking too much or too quickly. There's something we like to call the weight principle, which is, why am I talking? Always think about that before you continue your speech. We have our third issue, which is a monotone voice. Anyone who's ever approached you and spoken like this for a long length of time will definitely put you on, and especially if they're using PowerPoint slides, they just go on and on and on until you can no longer remember what they're talking about. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't even listen to what I said in that moment. It was really dry. But you need to learn how to emphasize certain points that you mean or you want people to remember. And perhaps even slowing down in other areas so that people know when something is more serious or is something that they should actually focus on. And then lastly, everyone needs a sentence bridge. So this is a good way of moving from one topic to another that actually catches people's attention. I can make sure that I say, let us make I have like a unique experience in this background, or I used to work in the conflict area. That catches more eyes than, oh, in my career, I was inspired to do this workshop challenge, so on and so forth. Now, you'd be glad to know that this is the end of my monologue. And from now onwards, we're going to be going into some more interactive activities that will actually show me a bit more about yourselves. So, has everyone understood what I have said so far? That you understand the ways we can improve delivery in our speech? Give me a yes or no in the chat. Yes, yes. Good. Awesome. So, even if you are perfect, you are the perfect facilitator, you set your terms of engagement, people know the words that you defined. Let's say how I used the training wheel example. I actually defined the word training wheels in case people don't know it in their culture. So that gives them context to understand. Or even if I'm very specific and I give terms of engagement and say, okay, you can type in the chat if you understand, you will still get rebellious people who will challenge you and will put up a fight to make sure that they destroy your workshop. And I have seen them time and time again in my experience. They will not let on. So how do you guys solve an issue like this? Write it in the chat. How would you solve someone who's actually being rebellious and annoying and difficult? I'll give you guys a moment.
Sorry, Maryam, say that again, please.
All right. So how would you handle someone who's being rebellious in your workshop? Let's say you've set the rules of how you're supposed to engage with them and they don't like it whatsoever. Just type it in the chat so I can see. Give them space and time to speak. Many people just want some love. That's actually a very new perspective. Most of the people that I've met want to fight back, but I'll entertain this one too. Give them space and time to speak. Any other opinions? All right. Sometimes you give someone something to do, they can for attention. So ask them to write with a flip chart. John, I love yours because it reminds me of passive-aggressive people. Just give them some paper and leave them to it. Want to hear them out and have a side chat later. Might want to ask them what their concerns are, their attention seekers, let them lead some exercise. That's like a very school teacher method to just put them to work. I like that. Listen to a short version of their concern. Put them in a topic parking space, yeah. Describe their behavior and ask about their background. Confront them in private. That's interesting to say, describe their behavior and ask about the background. Irene said I become rebellious when I feel I'm not heard. When challenging, then it's good to encourage others to speak up. Ah, okay. Nice. And Ahmed finishes off saying, find a subtle way to ask what's their problem. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for all these answers. Okay. So I see the value in all of your answers. And some of them are very unique that I can return to towards the end. One that I use a lot is called "but what if?" So this is a way to just think of all the ways in which someone's going to challenge you. And what I want all of us to do now is close our eyes and meditate. I'll tell you guys when to open your eyes, but I want everyone to just close their eyes. There's no way of me telling because you guys don't have your cameras on, but I trust you. I do. So think about the last time someone really irritated you. Now, I'm talking about in any social situation, someone who just didn't understand social cues, spoke a little bit too much, made jokes that were too politically incorrect that it's almost not funny. Think about how it made you feel. And now I want you to think about the way you would have loved to handle it. If there's one rule you could have put in place, there's one thing you could have told them to stop them in their tracks, what would it have been? Okay, now trust that you closed your eyes. Now you have permission to open them. So I want everyone to use their notes on their laptop or on their phone to write one of the most important rules that they could possibly have or possibly implement in a workshop to control their participants, or at least set the tone for the conversation. So I'm going to put a timer for you guys, and you have 1 minute to write this one workshop rule. So my one workshop rule is no swearing. I don't know why. I've been in some environments where people just swear and do the most. So yeah, just take some time and write your one rule and put it to the side. Interesting. The only rule, no rules, only a learning contract that comes from participants. So I wanted to learn, not a rule, but witty reactions have worked pretty well so far. Okay. Interesting. Okay, time is up. That's a very dramatic noise, but the time is up. Okay. So my next question, who here is actually comfortable with showing their face on camera, even if it's for a minute? All right, you're the chosen one. So Niles, do you think you're a good actor?
Probably for a few roles, but not necessarily in general. But we can try it.
Well, today you've been awarded your Hollywood role.
Fantastic.
Yes, I have assigned to you the role of a difficult participant. Or in fact, first of all, I will demonstrate how this role will be done. You are going to tell me about your workshop rule, and I'm going to start off with a sentence saying, but what if, which is going to be my rejection of that rule. And you have to keep on finding solutions to my questions. All right. Now, I'm a really bad actress, guys. So if I'm going to do this and embarrass myself, please feel free to follow suit. So I'm going to demonstrate how this exercise goes. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. You're going to start off by telling me what your rule is, and I'm going to be that horrible person during your meditation that will reject it. Even give me a character. Give me a character description so I can I can prepare.
How about bossy?
Boss. Oh, okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Let me think. So the rule for the next exercise is going to be that everybody's going to be working in silence, doing silent brainwriting and developing ideas on their own.
But what if I have an idea I actually want to share with the group? No, I actually think that's really rude. But what if I actually want to share something and I think that a lot of people have something to actually learn from me? Because did you know, I actually went to university.
Everybody else is working in silence.
I can't even hear you.
Hear the silence?
But what if I...
Yes. Can you hear the silence?
I can hear it.
Great.
But what if I don't want to be quiet because I actually have something to share?
That's okay. That's fantastic. Just put it down on paper for yourself at the moment. And then you can share it with everybody else in the end.
But why do I have to wait?
Oh, because good things come to patient people.
I've never seen that happen in my life.
Oh, well, and I'm really happy that you're open to new experiences here. Just take the time.
What if it's not worth it at the end? How do I know it's worth it?
You can only find it out by trying. Okay, I'm gonna leave it to you now.
Everyone give a round of applause. Now, I will say, I stopped it early because I do think the way that you handled it was good. Because you didn't allow, you stopped the back and forth by saying, leaving it open-ended, saying you just have to try and just continue. Sometimes the best solution is to not always want to provide one. That is the trap. So yes, well done, Niles. I want to see if anyone else is in the acting bug. Because Niles, you will be acting next. You'll be taking the role of anyone else's role. Let's see. I'm going to start picking people, you know. Let's say Steffi. Steffi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. So do you have your workshop rule ready? You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't feel like it.
Yes, I do.
All right. So what is that really annoying person that you thought about in your presentation so that Naz can take his character?
That person who's always dismissing other people's like views and opinions and doesn't care about what anybody else is saying, but what they think or what they're saying as like their truth and nothing else matters.
The egomaniac.
Yes.
Niall, get into character. All right. So 2 minutes on the clock. You're going to shout out your rule for us, Steffi. And then Niles is going to start off with saying, but what if? And he's going to fight you back. You have to come up with your solutions. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, start.
So no dismissing others or their views and opinions.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a good principle in theory. I definitely agree with that. I understand where you're coming from, but you know, we've just got some people in this room here who've got a lot more experience than anybody else. So I think their opinions should definitely matter a lot more than the opinions of well, you know, the more junior people who just joined the company who haven't been around for too long. So yeah, yeah, you know, I really understand where you're coming from, but I think it's a bit of a waste of time as well. So yeah, not quite sure about that.
Do you think that we can learn something from everybody? Like everybody has something to share, that we can always learn something new each time?
Definitely. Yeah. Everybody's got something to contribute. I think just at different levels of, you know, expertise and experience.
Okay, because I feel like there's usually different topics and we're not all experts in each and every topic. And sometimes just somebody's experience or exposure can actually give us a different perspective or a different view of things that we actually hadn't thought about, especially if we've been either exposed to only one area or may even have unconscious bias that we're not aware of. What do you think?
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. We've got people with we've got different people with different fields of experience, definitely. But we've also got some more junior people in the room, you know, who haven't really straight out of university, they haven't really gained any professional experience and so on. So I think we should definitely consider their opinions, and the bias is a good point as well. But I think they shouldn't quite be weighted in the same way that the more senior experiences of people and experts in different fields should be considered.
I'm curious to know more about the weighting. I didn't think like some opinions are more important than others.
All right. So
Sorry.
everyone's back. Niles, okay, everyone just send emojis, clap for them for this brilliant acting. Niles, that was the most condescending thing I've heard in a while. Because you were showing us levels through your body language.
I really give it my all.
Yeah.
You said you're here and everyone's down there somewhere.
I know.
Now, I would like to thank you. Steffi, you did well. I think when you're dealing with an egomaniac, you have to be very careful in that they like to compliment others. They don't fully denigrate anyone. They just say that they're the better one. So sometimes, in a way, you have to bait them into thinking that they're going to be even more superior to others if they listen to this very specialized opinion. You have to appeal to their ego. I know it sucks. Workshops aren't really therapy. We have to kind of exploit people's natural born personalities to get forward. But if someone is showing you that they're so desperate to prove that they're better than others, say, oh my God, well, this person has this really unique experience and they're only going to share it in this workshop. If you're quiet and you listen, you're going to use that information, share it with others, and they'll be wondering, where did you get it from? And you'll claim it's your beautiful mind. Pretend you're in on the game with them, stroke their ego, and they'll be happy.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. I had not thought of it that way. That's so helpful.
Oh, no problem, Steffi. Thank you so much for, you didn't volunteer, I kind of forced you. But thank you so much for acting with us. It was really good. All right. I'm going to do one more example. Who wants to show their face on camera for one more example? Shall I pick? Shall I pick? Let's go with Rahima. Can you unmute yourself, Rahima?
Yes, Maryam.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, do you have your rule that's been written down?
So, apologies, I joined late.
Okay, you joined it. Okay, don't worry. I'll pick someone who's been here a while. Okay, John.
Okay then.
John, do you see yourself as an actor?
Not really.
Well, today is your time to shine. Think of it like a pantomime or something. Okay, thanks for taking part. So actually, Steffi, I want you to have another go at this. I want you to just pick one more rule that you could use and try engaging with John and see how this one goes for you.
Okay, so a different workshop rule.
Yeah, different workshop rule, yes.
And what do you want me to do?
You're going to be the defiant person who asks, but what if?
Okay. This one is a bit difficult. Let's see. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, something that people do often is maybe like using your laptop or your phone throughout the session.
Yes, that's a good one. I'm going to put a timer just for 1 minute.
Okay.
John's already taken place. Okay, and action.
Okay, I'd like to ask that we minimize or don't use our phones and laptops as much as possible during the session, so we are all present and attentive for the interactions.
What did you say?
So my rule is that we avoid using our phones or laptops during the session so we can maximize on the interactions among us.
Yeah, but what if I get some important message that I need to attend to?
You can step out and attend to the message. However, I'd encourage you to just let anybody who may be contacting you let them know that you'll be in session and you want to maximize on being present in the session. So you can take your phone, but just let's minimize on use of it in the room and to avoid also distracting other participants.
No, but it's on silent. I'm not distracting anybody.
All right, well done, Steffi. I did see an improvement because you weren't as hesitant with laying down the rules and you didn't get distracted by the fact that half of John's body was off camera, busy on the phone. So that's good. Great acting skills from John. And John, you did actually capture a huge issue, which is that sometimes people aren't even hearing the instruction. Just goes right over their head. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be cognizant of that.
But then you see the problem comes that she's telling me. So the more I feel told, the more I'm going to resist.
How would you deal with it?
You know, it's like, this is the rule.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm back at school. So I'm going to be naughty, basically, you know.
How would you deal with it, John? If someone was ignoring you on their phone, how would you try to convince them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd let them get on with it, but it comes down to also that issue of, like, it's not my rules. I don't want to tell people what to do. But if it gets to the point where people have agreed to do this, you remind them, you know, well, these are your rules. This is what you agreed to at the start of the session. What do you think? You know, because otherwise you just get into that to and fro that is not very, I think it's not very constructive, you know. But it's a difficult one, I agree.
It does kill the flow of the presentation, I think. And yeah, even on that note, talking about flow and in more engagement and building relationship with participants, I'm going to give you guys like a 5-minute break so you can excuse yourself, get some water, do what you like. And perhaps we should be back by 5:55 and we'll just close with a quick activity that I learned during my workshop sessions that I think would really help you understand your participants a bit more so you're on the same page. So does that sound all right? People give me thumbs up if that's all right. Coming back by 5:55. Oh, that's my time. So I mean in 5 minutes. That's what I mean. All right. Let me know if you're back from your break by giving me a thumbs up or any reaction. That's fine. So I know who's here. Rahima's back. Niles is back. Who else is here? I know Irina's here. Steffi. John's just laughing. So go 1, 2, 3, 4. Ahmed is back. I'll give people some moments.
You know, Miriam, my grandmother used to say that you can only defend the hand that you slept on. I think that's why John is laughing.
No, it's just a way of getting noticed, isn't it? Eh? Do something a bit different.
It's cool. What will happen is I will just continue and people can jump in as they want, because at least half of us are back, which is good. So I wanted to thank everyone for coming to listen to this presentation. And as we approach the end, I would just like to address the idea of people giving very low feedback after a workshop. Now, I have been a participant many times. I understand what it's like. as soon as the workshop's over, you just want to leave and you don't really want to feel like filling out any feedback forms. It's just too much. Now, what we found with empathy circles is that instead of just looking for feedback forms to fill out, we can almost discuss how we enjoyed the workshop or how we thought it wasn't particularly helpful, how it was helpful, and just really break down its value from there. So my definition of empathy, or the one that we usually used, was hearing people out and understanding them on their terms and not on yours. So just being open about what their opinions are and just hearing them and accepting them. And this is very important for us to stand on that foot. So in an empathy circle, it's an activity we're going to do as a whole group. You're going to have facilitators, speaker, active listener, and silent listener. So I'm the facilitator for today, meaning that I'm going to control the timing and I'm going to guide you on what you should and should not do. Then you have the speaker, who is going to learn to break up their ideas in little bits of pieces when they answer the question that I will post in the chat soon. And they're going to have an active listener who will reflect everything they are saying back to them. Now, after the speaker has finished talking for 3 minutes and they feel understood by the active listener, they will say, "I feel heard." Now, it's very important for the active listener to not interrupt or argue with any of the points that this person is saying so that they feel they can completely express themselves. Now, everyone else in the room will be a silent listener, which means that we almost maintain the flow of the conversation. We hear what is being said. And when the speaker finishes, and let's say it's our turn to become a speaker, we can grab some ideas from what we've previously heard into our speech. Now, when you have a speaker, they can choose an active listener. And once they are done with their conversation, that active listener becomes a speaker and then chooses their own active listener. If you guys are confused, it'll become much clearer once we start the actual practice. And I'm going to demonstrate it by being a listener first. And I'm going to pick a speaker for this example. So we are going to be answering a question that I'll put in the chat, which is, what workshop challenges do you still need help in resolving? Or what's something new that you've learned today, or whatever is alive in you, which means anything you want to talk about. So for the sake of time, I will pick Irene as a speaker. So Irene, what you're going to do is just to answer any of these questions and make sure that you split them into mini ideas so that I can repeat what you've said back to you. Is that okay with you?
I'll try. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to put the timer on. We'll make it 1 minute, 30 seconds instead. So you guys can try out. All right. So Irene, you can begin.
One workshop challenge that I still need help resolving is when the facilitator picks people to speak without letting them pick themselves, because sometimes people are not ready with speaking or just want to be left alone. That I need help on how to figure out how to do that, because most often than not, there are people when you pick them to speak or you ask them to speak, either they don't come on camera or just decide that they can't, either they can't hear you or whatever they speak is like a yes and no kind of answer. So that I need to still deal with, although in my sessions I always let people volunteer themselves. So that's my challenge that I need help in resolving. Thank you. Back to you.
So I hear that the challenge that you have with resolving is not trying to catch people out and pick them to take part in activity when they may just want to be left alone. So you want to improve, let's say, people actually offering themselves to be part of that activity. Does that sound like what you were trying to come across?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So that is an example of an empathy engagement. So next time, what I'll show you is just breaking the ideas to be a bit shorter so it's easier for the active listener to reflect. But also, as you heard, Irene rightly said, you don't want to force people to take part if they don't want to. So that's actually a real concern, because that's what I did when I picked her to take part in this. She may not have wanted to, and you don't want your activities to be completely reliant on people having to take part. So thank you so much for sharing your concern, Irene. I can be a speaker now. Who can volunteer to be my listener? You don't have to turn on your camera. All you have to do is repeat what I say and make sure I feel heard. Can you put a reaction so I can see who can volunteer? Does anyone want to be a listener? Okay, Maryam. All right. So, okay, Maryam, you can unmute. Hi, Maryam.
Hi, Maryam.
Hi, namesake. All right, so I'm going to answer this question, and I'd love you to just hear me and repeat what I say so I can feel heard. All right. So I think one of the most challenging things in the workshop is to actually know how people are feeling, especially when their cameras are off. So you can reflect what I'm saying back to me.
Oh, yeah. You've just said is that you like to know what people are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
When their cameras are off.
Yes. And sometimes I think it's quite difficult to.
So this means what are their reactions?
Yes. This could even be another issue I bring up. Sometimes when there's internet connection, she started reflecting before I was even ready. I didn't know she was still talking, so that could be one of the barriers to an empathy circle. I've never experienced it before until now, but internet connection can make an impact. All right.
Internet connection can make a big impact, especially when there is interruption. When to start talking and when to listen sometimes becomes a challenge because of the internet.
Okay. Thank you for listening to me. I feel heard. Thank you, Maryam. So that is just a sample of how the empathy circle works. It tends to be continuous, and you'll have many different examples from people. And the reason I stress this is that even though it can take a long time, it's so important to hear what people's concerns really are. Because more than likely, even if you get people to respond to your feedback form, they will not give you the detail that they'll give you in these kind of conversations. They may just say, oh, it was good, oh, it was nice, and just be about their day. And you have to even empathize with them and understand once they get what they want as participants, there is literally no incentive for them to really go into detail about correcting you. That is something that is easily done in a workshop, and in my opinion, a bit more productive. So I really want to thank everyone for listening to my presentation today. I am very open to have any questions about any other ways you'd like to improve your workshop. I know I have given time management advice. I have given advice on improving the kind of questions that you could ask, but I know that there are still gaps in there which can only be solved by having a thorough workshop design before you decide to facilitate. And if you go on my LinkedIn page, which I will put in the chat, I do give 3 sessions giving people advice on how to actually understand what you're looking for when it comes to facilitation and knowing how you want to go forward. I will just give you my quick LinkedIn link. I was on LinkedIn before, but not now. But if anyone has any questions, I'm here. You can just start asking. Anyone have any questions? Thanks for recording. Thank you so much, guys. Here's my LinkedIn if you want to connect. Says thank you. No problem, John. Thank you, Niles. Thank you, Maryam, Irene. Thank you so much for listening. If you do have questions as well, you can just DM me on LinkedIn. I will not keep you. I know we all have our lives we want to get back to. So yes, thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a brilliant day.
Yeah, thank you for a wonderful session. And we hope to have many more from you. And everybody have a good evening or good day. You know, we are all from different parts of the world. Yes. So bye for now. Thank you, Maryam, so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.